My oftentimes unindicted co-conspirator, Brother Chris Ruli, 32nd degree KCCH, and the historian of the Valley of Washington in the Orient of the District of Columbia, Scottish Rite Freemason. You've seen our 5 books that you must have, and you are a voracious book guy.
I enjoy a good book or two in my day. Yeah, sure. And thanks for letting me come on board and grab some books.
But I have to say, I found your writing in a book recently.
Perhaps.
The brand new issue of Herodom, which is the annual publication of the Scottish Rite Research Society.
Yes.
This is the last one with Dr. S. Brent Morris at the helm, dear friend of ours. Today we have more important mission, or arguably more important mission, your 5 books all Masons should read.
I went a little bit more towards history. You know, historian, love history, and one of the great things is we're in the House of the Temple Library right now. Before we were recording, I was like, well, I've got these 5 books, and well, we've got them here, so let's pull them out, and so we did. So we actually have them here. And so the first one of these books, so again, focusing on history. There's a lot to cover in Freemasonry and history. I think, you know, go on any YouTube channel and you'll see there's tons of stuff on Freemasonry. 3 out of the 5 are Masonic related. 2 out of the 5 are actually about Masons, and really good examples and stories about Freemasonry. There's even, you know, references to Freemasonry in these books about these individuals. So that's why I picked those 5.
Awesome. Let's roll.
Sure. So the first one I think is, personally, I think this is one of just the most important books on American Freemasonry. It's American Freemasons by Mark Tabbert. Mark published this a couple years ago through his other job, or his former job, up in the northern jurisdiction. It is a very good book on a general summation of Freemasonry. This goes into everything from the beginning of Freemasonry into its origins as well as its evolution in the United States. It does a very good job at being concise about the topics. It goes into all the appendant bodies, the York Rite. It provides pictures, and Mark does a very good job at synthesizing and explaining to people about Freemasonry and about American Freemasonry, which, of course, you know, for Freemasons, we know that it's different around the world. So this, I think, is a necessary book. And in fact, I think it's a standard. It should be given out to new Masons when you become an entered apprentice. And it's also not a heavy read. It's not, you know, 500 pages or anything, but it's a good coffee table style book. William Fox, Lodge of the Double-Headed Eagle. If you're a Scottish Rite Mason, you want to learn about.
You've walked by this book at least.
This is in your lodge's library. This is certainly in your Valley's library. If your Valley has a library and museum, this is something that is a nice, again, a good review, a good synthesis. One of the reasons I really like William Fox's book is that he does a very good job at being critical when necessary. This is not, look how great Freemasonry is, look how great the Scottish Rite is. He does a very good job at reviewing and really criticizing where necessary, providing good context, understanding the environment, weaving in politics, weaving in where society is. Very similar to, Mark Tabbert's American Freemasons. This focuses mostly on the Supreme Council. It dives into Albert Pike's life. It dives into, post-Pike. It dives into also contemporary, right? So Scottish Rite within the last, 20 or 30 years. And so certainly a good researched book that you should absolutely purchase. So the next book, I'm taking a little bit of a turn here.
Okay.
We're swerving. We're going a little differently here. We're looking at Witness to the Young Republic. So this is the curveball. This is actually about a Scottish Rite Freemason. This is about Benjamin B. French. We did an entire thing on the patron saint of Freemasonry. This is his source text. This is the book edited by Donald Cole and John McDonnell. This is his diary from 1828 to 1870. So he was 28 when he started the diary. 1870 is when he died. So this is a great primer. This is a great source text on what Freemasonry was like in the District of Columbia. What a person who was a White House advisor, right? We talked about his association with Lincoln, with Pierce, with all these presidents. goes deep into the lore, goes deep into what society was like at the time. He took meticulous notes of who he was meeting, who he engaged with, the dinners, the parties, all these. And of course, we talked a lot about him in a previous video. And this is one of those source documents. If you want to know about DC Freemasonry, if you want to learn about Pike, if you want to learn about all these interesting figures of the time, you got to get this book.
Is this edited to read as though it's a story, or is
No.
this is
source
Dear
text.
Diary?
So each chapter starts with an introduction, which really tells you a little bit of a story about the entire time frame that we're looking at. But it is his original
Wow.
text. Now, this came from his diary, his original diary at the Library of Congress. And so these two editors basically went in, pulled out a lot of the interesting things that you would see and things that are notable, and then they produced this book. But this is absolutely necessary. If you're interested about Freemasonry in DC, you got to get this book. The next one, we go back to Mark Tabbert. Right now, there are very few books, and there are some authors, including myself, who are working towards completing this, but there are very few records of compilations of presidents engaging with Freemasonry, but from the original source text. What am I talking about? From the letters, from the meetings, from all these things, and compiling it. So what did Mark do? This is, from without a shadow of a doubt, the most comprehensive book on George Washington as a Freemason. What you're basically boiling down to is, Tabbert does a very good job at is he condenses it all into the actual stuff that we can verify.
Now this is a really new book. This is
Very new.
This
This
is
is
maybe what, 18 months old, something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that?
This is certainly within a year.
So I've been wanting to pick this one up because I am a big Washington, I guess, buff connoisseur,
Sure.
whatever you want to say. And the thing about Washington is the pantheon of literature that has this guy's name in it is unbelievable. I don't know if
Yes.
you've ever been to I'm sure you've been to the Peterson House across the street from Ford's Theater. It's where Lincoln died. I was there not long ago, and they have set up a stack of books that are about Lincoln. And the stack, and this is not a joke, is probably 5 stories high, and they say this is not a complete stack of books about Lincoln. I would have bet that the stack of books about Washington would dwarf it by a mile.
And one of the nice things about having what Mark did is having it all condensed into one tome is he actually, when you go through it, you're surprised because you may find things you've never seen before. You may find correspondences you've never seen before. You may find certain things and certain actions that Washington took that you were like, oh, I didn't know this. You know, for every one, story where George Washington laid the cornerstone, you find one very interesting correspondence between someone and where he was talking about Freemasonry, and it wasn't, a public thing. It was more just between brothers. So the title "A Deserving Brother" is a very nice way of referencing this book. So book 5, it's because it's not in this library yet, but it is the book on James Hoban. So the Washington Historical Society recently published a new book on James Hoban, his life, and mostly around the construction of the White House, his sort of influence. Of course, James Hoban was master of Federal Lodge No. 1 in D.C., and so it dives into the people. It dives into the place. It dives into the mindset of where Hoban was when he's building the White House. This is not a story about a Freemason and his Masonic life. This James Hoban book is about a Freemason who contributed a lot to American society. He helped build an institution, build a physical building to a part of the United States government, something that you can go to, any part of the country or any part of the world. And when you say White House, they know you're talking about America, you're talking about presidents. And so James Hoban is a steward of that, and that's definitely a book that you should absolutely check out. James Hoban, Architect of the White House.
I can't thank you enough for checking those out, and several of those are sort of on my list. I'm amassing this list of books. I'm never
You're gonna have your own pile.
I'm never going to get through. I want to make sure that we're presenting these because there are always brothers out there and people who have an interest in Freemasonry that are looking for something that's really going to open up the next door of their journey or of their own research.
Sure.
And by doing this here on YouTube, hopefully we're sparking a little bit of interest. I know there's a guy in my lodge who watched our last couple of videos and like immediately went online and bought all the
Awesome.
which is great, because we got to get back to books.
And I think all of these these you can mostly purchase online off Amazon. I want to say $10 to $20. This is not a huge investment, but there are definitely books that I think the way I say is there's obviously the esoteric nature of Freemasonry. There's also the people, the physical people, the you and I, the people who did the work, who did the things. And so I think if you want to flesh out and really fill out your entire experience in Freemasonry, you got to do both. You can't just focus on the esoteric, but you also got to focus on the people are actually doing things, the historians, the presidents, the advisors, all those individuals that really helped personify and make Freemasonry what it is. Freemasonry, of course, would have survived if it was just a couple of guys that were continuing the legacy. But why did it survive? Because of notable individuals like Washington, like Hoban, who provided this idea of like, well, I want to be like these guys. I want to join the fraternity. I want to better myself and better society. So I think these books really encapsulate that.
Brother Chris Ruli, 32nd degree KCCH, Scottish Rite Freemason, historian, the Valley of Washington in the Orient of the District of Columbia, and can't thank you enough for 5 great books, 5 great recommendations. What are your recommendations? You can drop them in the comments below. We'd love to chat with you about that. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We're now over 5,000 viewers, which is awesome.
Nice.
Thank you for your help in building this channel over the last year or so. It was a really huge thing, and we're so grateful for everyone that subscribes. And please, brothers, always give us a shout out. If you haven't subscribed, you're missing out, so please do so. Turn on those notifications, and we will catch you next time. Thank you for watching our videos, and this list of names that's scrolling by here, these are folks who are members of our Scottish Rite Lost Media Archive. We have found an incredible collection of lost Scottish Rite media. I'm talking records, I'm talking reel-to-reel tapes, cassette tapes, VCR tapes. We're talking about film, and we've got 16 and 35 millimeter film. We have got lost media found in our vault, and we're trying to bring it to you. And it takes a little effort, and that's what these folks are helping support. For $1.99 a month, they become members here on the channel, and they are getting access to all of those things as we bring them to light. So we get a record, we get a reel-to-reel tape, we get a VCR tape, we find a way to digitize it, and in some cases this requires us to source and repair equipment that can play those old analog versions of things, and then we digitize them, and we're making them available to you in this vault. 1, so that we can preserve them, and 2, so that we can share them with the world. And that $1.99 a month helps us do that. So if you're able to contribute to the channel, you'll get your name on this list, and you'll get access to all of those things as they are released, along with a few other membership perks. If you can't contribute, don't worry. There are tons and tons of free content things still coming your way on the Scottish Rite Freemasonry channel, so please do make sure you check that out. But this is just a little extra thank you from me to these folks here for providing us with the funds and tools we need to bring some of those amazing discoveries to light. We've already found recordings and things that are over half a century old that we thought were lost. For instance, the funeral of one of our Grand Commanders, it was recorded, and we have found it, and it is available in our vault. We found a 25-year-old tour video that shows the House of the Temple building as it looked in 1998, and it's very different, and it's very cool to see, and we're bringing it to light inside of our Lost Media Archive. So thanks to these folks, thank you for watching, and I hope you can join us. The information on joining is found in the links below. Thanks so much.